Well, it's really interesting to me that right now is the time that Biden is choosing to go on vacation somewhere on a beach in Delaware. That's a really weird choice, considering right now everything that's going on. We're not just talking about the formula shortage and the gas crisis and the upcoming recession, the recession we are in, essentially. Actually, uh, we're talking about Russia has straight up said that you keep getting involved with this proxy war and dropping these $40 billion bundles pretty much over to the Ukraine, supplying javelins, anti-tank, etc., etc. You are in a war. We're considering this your part. You may call it a proxy war, but it's the aggression. To them, it's as good as walking right up into Russia. That's the way they interpret it. So we're talking World War III. Yeah, like I mentioned, is underway. It's begun, and that's a really weird time to go on vacation. Um, Not just that, but why I brought this star chart up that you're looking at right here is again, is because what I can tell you is what's going on right now is just with this is the moon is your revealer. Remember what I was saying last night? If you haven't seen it, you should look at what's up last night. The moon is a revealer. The moon can drop a veil on your head, and the moon can potentially also be like a great revealer, the great revealer. So, right now, what we are talking about is as a revealer, across from a retrograde Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. That's normally like all things Saturn hardcore, which is government, corporate, infrastructure, collective, et cetera, et cetera. Just the beginning of it, just the tippy tip of the iceberg. Is Pluto retrograde with the moon across from it, opposite. First of all, what is an opposite always? What happens when you're looking in a mirror? Who are you looking at when you look in a mirror? Um, is you're looking at yourself. You're looking at yourself flipped. But for us here in 3D land, looking at yourself flipped in the mirror is the left hand becomes what looks like the right hand now. You know, the left side of the face is what flips over to what looks like the right side of the face. But for interdimensional speaking, you're talking interdimensional and higher dimensions. That what was once outside now looks like the inside, and vice versa. What was once considered the top can now be flipped into the bottom. That's what you're looking at with the opposite in a mirror. When you're talking much more dimensional access, extra dimensions, or between dimensions. So you see what we're talking about now. Moon revealing map. The moon revealing scene. I don't know. I might not be able to just find a simple JPEG for the scene, which is fine. So I was looking up that scene where the moon is shining through. It's one of my favorite scenes. If I could kind of continue from last night, is that scene where, here we go. I'm just gonna pull up that scene real quick and just grab this right here, and just about everybody knows the scene, but so if I can just include this as I talk to you. So this is another favorite scene of mine, and actually the Hobbit trilogy series that where they've got the map and they're like, you know, we don't know what to do with this map. We've hit a freaking dead end, you know, and basically the moon comes out, the moon starts to reveal, and as the moon shows up, they start to see what is in this map. Do you remember this scene? So the moon can be a veil. The moon absolutely is oftentimes a veil. This is just really impromptu. I thought to include this in here, so it doesn't look that polished right now. It's just kind of, I'm just bringing it into the scene. So sorry, it doesn't look that polished. I just decided to do that last second. But yeah, so you get the point. Moon shows up. The rays of the moon come through. They hit the map on that table there as they're like Elrons and shit, and they can see stuff on the map that you can't normally see. So the moon is often a veil, and the moon is often a revealer. The moon will reveal things, like the moon also comes up, or no, never mind, that was under the light of the moon, but it was Gandalf doing some kind of a thing, incantation, and finally, speak friend and you may enter. You remember that scene? That's a famous scene too. So, but the moon, it's like a moon door. It lights up all with moonlight. So totally cool scene again. But so the moon is a revealer, and what it takes is the moon shining its rays from the opposite position. Is the moon reveals those rays, which are soft. Soft is strong, especially in astrology. We're talking all things mystical, like softer is stronger. Lao Tzu said, what is softest of all is also strongest. Water will wear away rock, like ages of mountain. Water, just rainfall over the course of time, wears away rock. Softest wears away what is generally considered obvious, strongest of all. So water is very nuanced, if I can, sorry. So of all the elements, water is the most nuanced, and basically is the rays of the moon travel to tap into its opposite, which is what I was just saying about the mirror, if I may, to sort of bring this back up. Is that what is opposite is actually you, but it seems a bit more topsy-turvy, almost like funhouse mirror style. Is we're not just talking about the way it is for people when we look into the mirror. When we look into a mirror, we see just the right hand becomes the left hand becomes the right hand. Messages that you wrote backwards can now be seen if you read it in the mirror. Kind of a cool little trick we probably all did when we were kids. We maybe had fun, like writing messages in reverse, and then someone would come along and look at it in the mirror. So I did that game when I was a little kid, so that was lots of fun. And I did it quite a bit, and what's weird is my Dandy Walker malformation makes it so I'm kind of, oh God, it's ambidextrous. No, it's not ambidextrous. What is that damn word? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Sorry. That word is right on the frickin' tip of my tongue. Dyslexia. And so palindromes are when it's reverse and when it's forward. And it's basically the same backward as forward. So, but my Dandy Walker malformation makes it so I have dyslexia effect, which in waiting, I used to be a waiter, remember? And you either have to 86 things to get it taken out or 68 things to get it put back in when it was normally not there. So it was brutal on me with dyslexia and trying to hide the fact that I had a Dandy Walker malformation, which puts me on the spectrum when I'm supposed to be, you know, at work doing 86, you have to yell out to the chefs and put it in a computer too. 86, remove the ingredient. 68, put it back in when it's normally not there or whatever. So yeah, you can imagine. So back to it. Let's get back into it. Is now that we got that base covered, imagine the left going to the right the way it is in a mirror, but now the top can be the bottom. The inside can be the outside. What's considering the reverse mucky stuff of a tree of life is now just like out in the open. So we're going to get a bit more into that, I believe we will. What I just said. Clue into that, what I just said. How the reverse of a tree, what's the reverse of the mucky, just horribly chaotic things that aren't meant for humanity in the tree of life can make their way out to the front under the rays of the moon especially, which is the revealer of things long hidden. And what goes on in the moon The moon is associated with nocturnal hunters too, nocturnal animals, which are nocturnal hunting animals, and nocturnal animals in general, but especially the predatory ones, are what's at the top of that list. What do you think of at the top of that list? That tends to be two things. You're probably either going to say owls or you're probably going to say frickin' spiders, nocturnal hunters. So, the moon, animals who embody the moon, especially, and then you might say wolves. Those are usually the top three. When people say, name for me a nocturnal hunter, people will just about say wolves because they howl at the moon, and that's one of the most famous things, especially right around like Halloween and shit. All frickin' Halloween soundtracks have moons that are howling and like just windows that are making creaky sounds, etc., etc. And then you have just the other one usually tends to be owls. That's one of the big ones. Up all night. Who's up all night? Who's up all night? Owls. I didn't even mean to do that. But then usually spiders, because what tends to embody like sort of the more creepy side of the moon embodied in the nighttime is just spiders. So, and yeah, I just picked up on my spidey senses tingled. Again, I'm not even trying to be funny, and it's true. That just happened. So basically, the reason I'm building you up to this is because what I want to frickin' say is what the moon is revealing. This is really weird. Is the moon would be revealing opposite Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, who is really in charge, who is really in the seat of power. So sorry, I have itchy. I could use an allergy pill. Sometimes I itch when I'm a bit like my jaw gets to moving and my face starts vibrating. So yeah, it just anyways. So the moon is revealing who is in charge. Absolutely, with the absolute power corrupts absolutely. As we look at that with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, so it's wild to me. It's really just strange to me that Joe Biden is going back on vacation right now in a beach somewhere in Delaware, and like the Washington Examiner says, Biden has spent an estimated 188 full or partial days away from the White House, with 130 spent at his Delaware properties, his beautiful, luxurious Delaware mansion properties. 52 at Camp David, and 6 in even more beautiful, sprawling, gorgeous Nantucket in the upstate Northeast, which is just a prime. If you want to get away from it all and be in the most beautiful country in America, it's pretty much going to be in the upstate New York area or just upstate Northeast, like Nantucket type places. So, but it's weird, and the reason I'm saying this is because Davos just went on in the WEC, World Economic Forum, where they were talking about tracking our carbon footprint. We are talking absolute, the absolute elite and the absolute cream of the crop of the corporate cabal, and who makes that world spin, telling us how they're going to run us useless eaters and run the goyim, the lives of the goy, and et cetera, whatever word for it. There's multiple words for it, you know. So there's multiple words for it, but it is what it is. The theme holds true no matter the words. The theme just holds true again and again and again. So, and now what we're looking at is something called fortune. Where is my this thing right here? Check this thing out. We're going to bring this up. This is called fortune. The X-Men's insignia in the zodiac chart is called fortune. And what it means is not where your fortune lay. Where your fortune lies has to do actually way more with Jupiter and probably your ninth house, and then some other stuff, including as it taps off with other stuff and how it's aspected in your chart. But so this right here, we're looking at fortune in the sign of Capricorn, and how that's tapping off right now with Pluto retrograde in the generational. Remember, this is generational, so this is a long ass retrograde. um, that's been going on in over the course of Pluto had snuck its way, made its way into Aquarius finally, and the retrograde is drawing it towards Capricorn, and that's really huge. That is absolutely noteworthy because we're looking at what we're looking at then is things gone awry, things going wrong in the sign of Capricorn. How the ultimate power bearer, absolute power corrupting absolutely, is now being exacerbated by fortune, and in the zodiac, fortune in astrology exacerbates all things. So, for example, if your fortune shows up in your birth chart somewhere over here in Aries, and say you have Jupiter in Aries in your birth chart, then if fortune is showing up near that, then you are just pretty much automatically Jupiter dominant, no matter what. Even though Jupiter would actually, Jupiter dominant would probably be more is Jupiter, if Jupiter is showing up in freaking Pisces or Sagittarius, you would be considered just about automatically a Jupiter dominant, especially if Jupiter is in the 9th house or the 12th house. Now, if Jupiter is showing up, you absolutely would be Mars dominant if you had Mars in Aries, pretty much no matter what. But absolutely, you would be a Mars dominant if you had Mars in Aries, who Mars rules. And it is in, and you would also be an Aries rising. Like, Aries rising, that means Aries is your ascendant, and the ascendant is always basically one. It is one and same as your first house. So you see what I mean? And you would also be a Mars dominant if you had Mars in the sign of Aries, but it is in the 8th house. Because the 8th house is basically aligned, or yeah, it's aligned with Scorpio, and Scorpio's old ruler was Mars. Do you get how that works? Now, if you had frickin' Mars in Pluto, for example, say you, or if you had Mars in Scorpio, a little bit of a, yeah, if you had Mars in Scorpio, and you had this right here, the little X-Man insignia, if you have fortune in Scorpio over here somewhere, and you have a Mars in Scorpio, you are absolutely Mars dominant. You would be considered Mars dominant. You see how that works? So, fortune exacerbates and amplifies everything out the wazoo. So, basically, right now, fortune is in Capricorn with a retrograde Pluto in Capricorn. And right now, this is opposite this, which is just huge. That is hugely significant, because now if we bring this back up again, the moon is a revealer of things that are long hidden on maps or in language, such as a palindrome, etc., where 86 starts to look like 68, and you have that sort of dyslexia effect. But now to where, that's not what I wanted. But now to where, and that's really weird for that to be going on in a retrograde. So now retrograde is almost, in a way, what's going on with the moon is basically a complete mystery, or just complete, what would you call that when that happens? Almost, in a way, it's just about miraculous. In a way, it's just really freaking weird, phenomenal-wise, because it's revealing a great truth. It's revealing a moment. We have a window of like heavy duty truth. This is heavy duty truth, and something that Pluto retrograde is normally like ultimate, intentionally trying to keep secrets, the man behind the curtain, keeping secrets about who's really running the show. And right now, Biden is going on vacation, and then that tells me particularly one of two things. Let me see if I can get to this right. That tells me one of two things particularly, is that let's see. I wrote this down. I wrote some notes, but either he is not in control. Surprise, surprise. Either Biden is not in control, not in charge there, or there's even, we are looking at, there's not that much of a panic. Why would Biden be going on vacation during the most panicked time possible? Formula shortages. Russia just straight up said, short of Putin saying, but Putin did say there was going to be consequences for America doing this proxy war himself. World War III has started, and I felt it. Speaking of spidey senses tingling, sort of, if I could use that, is a sort of a funny little whatever, being, I don't know, mildly entertaining, sorry. There's not that much of a panic because there's only an illusion on the world stage of World War III, formula shortage, artificial scarcity, and gun crises from very heavily plotted incidents. And I'm not saying that some dude in a mask who is actually CIA went out and shot up schools and we blamed it on some kid. I think that really did happen. So now someone told me, this is hearsay, do not, please take this with a grain of salt. But someone told me that actually the Buffalo shooter was being groomed by an FBI agent. So that, as of right now, is hearsay. I haven't studied up on that, so take that with a grain of salt. But what I'm saying is everything I know interdimensionally and what I'm doing in my work with what I can do with the stars, it's been confirmed and confirmed and confirmed and confirmed by multiple people. As I've saw people go on to get raises, as I've read their charts, I've saw people go on to do much better in many facets of life as I've read their charts, including, relationships, etc., etc. So I've seen things come to pass in the news shortly after, and then just months later, things that I've said, including what's gone on with this pandemic, and things that they would say, including, I've nailed it to a T, the whole antibodies are only going to last about 3 weeks too, and that sort of thing. So, but what I'm saying is either he's president of the United States, is either not in charge, so it's totally okay for him to take a vacation while there's, the Great Recession, the most panic-driven gas prices of all time, basically, just about damn near. And World War III is now breaking into full effect. And the rest of the stuff is going on. Either he's not that charged, or there's only an illusion of all that stuff going on to where we in the country are not that worried. To the powers that really be have totally got this. They've got this. The artificial scarcity tactics, they are all like speaking of spider nocturnal hunters, like heavily orchestrated strands of the web. They've totally got this. Things are cool. You can go hang out in Delaware, Mr. President. We've got this. We've got the gun crises on the world stage, or both. He's not that charged. He's not that in charge. Which is just about at that point, even Biden supporters are still willing to admit the tiny fraction of Biden supporters who just, no matter what, his shit don't stink, and he's totally got our backs, and he's still a nice guy from Scranton. They're starting to admit, he's a puppet. Okay, so either, again, two-prong, either he's not that in charge, or there's only an illusion of World War III and the gun crises and the formula shortage and the gas prices. All this train wreck is really just being used to hurt us on purpose. So it's totally cool for him to go on vacation. He was being used to create a crisis moment on purpose, to where, like the moon would reveal, the absolute powers that be behind the curtain are showing up right now, such as Davos and Sweden. What went on in Sweden and Davos right now, and the WC World Economic Forum, and what has gone on has been an absolute travesty and train wreck with the WHO and everything, how it's being handled, is many legitimate legitimate doctors are coming forward and telling us now, like, you should look up how the PCR, the doctor who invented the PCR test, is saying the PCR was only ever invented with, as you work enough sweeps with this test, you can just about locate anything on purpose amplified as having been dormant in the DNA. So just use that PCR test enough times and you are going to locate potentiality in the quantum foam as it relates to our DNA sequences. So, test and test and test and test till you come up with that positive. This gold standard has been a slap in the face shit standard in order to pull off all kinds of travesties. So what we are looking at here, and that's just truth, is the whole who's really in charge. And what did we just see right before Biden took his little vacation time? We just saw Davos and the World Economic Forum and how they were sitting there telling us how they are going to be in absolute control and track every move that their consumers, their production unit numbers, their stock market traded birth certificates, units of production are going to be better kept track of. So, and it's all out in the open. They would laugh if they sat there and saw this video. They wouldn't even get a red face. They wouldn't be even incensed over the whole thing. They wouldn't laugh. They'd be like, and what are you going to do about it, stupid American? With your stupid little YouTube videos. Go on, talk. Too late now. That's what's going on in the world. So, and like I said, just everything going on has to do also with, this is the hour of revealing. This is revealing things that have been enshrouded to the point it's probably, unfortunately, it's too freaking late in lots of ways. So, when it comes to the whole it's too late, what is it too late for? Tell us, John. Tell us, what's it too late for? You've got our attention now. Tell us what it's too late for. It's too late for a lot of people to form up militias. And a lot of what we hope could be militias is going to be tracked down with infrared and GPS combined to where, and drones and javelins used against us, to where you're not going to see militias stand a chance at forming up, unfortunately. And the only way you will see militias stand a chance at forming up is when you get those who are in the military and in the police saying enough is enough. And a lot of them will be people who won't have kids, because people who have kids and families are going to go ahead and carry this shit out, because when they get their orders coming through, they're just going to go ahead and carry it out, because they're going to be like, I'm sorry, I got kids, I got to throw you under the bus, like I was just saying in the last video. So, in the video right before that. So, probably who will form up militias is, unfortunately, street gangs are going to be forming up their militias for those who've proved their loyalty towards the street gangs. MS-13, who Trump was having an extremely out in the open, directive, prioritized presence against, was the horrors and the atrocities of the cartels and how they harness MS-13 and on and on and on. So, but that wasn't what was important. What was important was a nice guy in office who is finally going to be a nice guy and quell all the drama of a president who people had a problem with the ego of, to the point people were getting so sick of the press just screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming. I can't handle all these press stories anymore. Just like all the primary smear campaigns. I can't handle all this shit anymore. Fine, I will give you your way. Just shut up. I will vote for the other, And then I'm sorry, Biden won through not just that either, but through foul play. That's just all there is to it. I know from not just the news that I prefer, but my own interdimensional work. Actual audio frequencies, knowing what's going on in the stars, combined with my ability to do everything that I've been showing in my last videos, to where, no joke, I'm bringing up, I can do stuff like this. I'll just show you it again. I'll show you it again. And I can do stuff like this. And this is me in a day. This is my energy work that you're looking at. And my energy work it's not a joke to me. It's something I take very seriously. Combining it with open frequencies and what I've had to deal with in life. It all combines together to where I don't just have to hope for the best preferential access to, you might say, earthbound information. By the way, what you're looking at right now at the center of the screen there is the better earthbound connection. Underneath all the haywire artifice of just what people think is a connection, what they think is finally going on, but it's more and more mazes. It's mazes which are leading you towards the cheese that's heavy duty, heavily electrified, to the point where you bite the cheese, but you are still held in so much fear, unfortunately, and boxed in so deep that you can't perceive very much, to where you still go ahead and bite the same piece of cheese and get shocked again. And that's what Davos is intended to do, and who runs and owns the World Economic Forum and all that shit, and the Klaus Schwab, hashtag don't be a douchebag. What is a douchebag? It's basically a Schwab. It's a swab out. Sorry, I know that was kind of gross, but Cotton Schwab, but anyway, so you get the point. So what we're looking at is the stuff I'm telling you also comes from my heavy duty practice, to where I do have access to things outside the bounds of normal space and time. I am not quite in the maze as much. I still get shocked on the piece of cheese with the rest of you. I'm not saying this to say that I'm so much better than you. That's the whole problem, is people like Klaus Schwab is I am so much better than the rest of you. Welcome to my meeting. We are all having this summit here in the exciting mountains of Davos. Take in all you can, take in your fill. I have an all-you-can-eat breakfast that you can come partake of in the morning, so that we can all gather right here in this room. Those of us who in the most exciting time possible. We are the most powerful people here in the world, and it is up to us to take control of everything, because they cannot be trusted to even tie their shoes. So we are going to enter into their house, and this is the most exciting time for those who own everything, and we are going to tie their shoes for them, and make sure they'll tie their shoes the right way, and make sure they have double knot and triple knot, to where their carbon footprint is completely efficient, to where, sorry, I'm breaking character, but yeah, you get the point. That's what's going on here. So, and it's horrible. It is scary. So, just again, if I can wrap this up, the moon is the great revealer, and right now this is being revealed. Biden's going on vacation when he need him most. He is not there when we need a strong leader most. And I would say, you want my advice is not to have me as president, obviously, but just it's time to get a strong leader, and that's not going to be Kamala Harris. And look how shaky Pelosi is with her husband and her morality. And I'm not even going to front and say Trump was the best moral leader, but he was a strong leader in what this country needed. And look what was going on with American success, and we didn't even throw it down the drain. It was decided for us that it was going to be thrown down the drain. And that's why stuff like Davos and Schwab and all that, as they talk about their plans for the useless eaters and the production units, they're bought and paid for production units who have the birth certificates, which basically stands for stock on the stock market. I don't know if you know that, but birth certificate, like a port city has a birth. So you are underneath the sway of maritime law in the UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. You are under all this, and the courts still operate by maritime law. And most people haven't even educated themselves according to any of this stuff. So, yeah, you are stock on the stock market. Your birth certificate is really the BERTH certificate. So you get what I'm saying there? And you are under maritime law. You are under maritime. You should look it all up. And it's legit stuff. It's highly relevant stuff. Look it all up. How your birth certificate actually indicates that you are stock. And you are traded on the stock market. And you are operable actually under maritime law right now. So not the law of the land. You don't operate by the law of the land. You are not considered legitimate enough to operate by the law, under the law of the land, because that would make you sovereign. Did you know that? So, yeah, it's funny how it's not funny how with everything that's going on, we're talking about Ukraine is sovereign. Ukraine is sovereign. You are not even really considered sovereign right now. Did you know that? It's just worth knowing that. Is you operate and educate yourself for what's coming up next in the world. Yeah. So there's a great revealing going on right now. That's why as Biden goes on vacation, they're able to do their stuff out in the open. They're doing their stuff right out in the open now. So because it's very revealing of the times to come. The times to come as they talk about what they have in store for absolute control of everything and every little minutest detail of your life. Why did you not sign into your app today? You said you were going to sign into your app. You promised when you click this little box that you are going to sign into your app and start living according to the standards which we have set forth for you. And it is for your own good and for your own benefit and the benefit of your children. That's Klaus Schwab's cream dream, basically. Sorry, that was gross. But anyway, so I'm going to cut it off at that. And just, if you want to know what's up, that's what I'm looking at right now. And it's totally, it's worth pointing at, and it's worth talking to you about as someone who has my practice when it comes to the frequencies and the music that you've heard. How I've been playing for you some of my music, showing you the tuning forks, showing you what's going on with the sort of interdimensional, hyperdimensional Celtic knot work. And it's not just Celtic knot work. It looks a lot like Aztec stuff, Mayan stuff, Quetzalcoatl type shit, to where people are talking about after 2021 we hit a period of novelty. We were living under habit. But now what's happening is after 2021, and the eschaton is what it's largely called. But the eschaton didn't just happen along 2021. It happened at different gateways gathered right along various parts of the earth. And through various strong vergences, if I can borrow a term, emergences, aka virgences, who are special people who've come along. Yes, I use the word special people. I did dare to do that. So, special people have come along and they've gone through absolute hell to poke holes in this habit. And what's gone on is we poked holes through this habit fabric is the novelty, post-eschatonal, post-apocalyptic experiences is various timelines outside what we are considered of the linearity and the rat race maze where we all bite down. We're all fighting over the electrified cheese at the center of that maze. Is various timelines are actually converging, and these timelines are different from the timelines that you even called time and the illusion of time beforehand, which kept you in a prison maze, highly limited grossly limited perception of what reality even is, to where all that is supposed to matter to you is the 9 to 5 and living paycheck to paycheck and surviving, to where, the only legacy you can give your kids is some of your debt, maybe, or possibly a little bit more of that electrified cheese, and tell them that you've stored away some cheese for them to still struggle through the next phase. Because those who aren't struggling are those who are very carefully groomed and very carefully set up to inherit all this. Whether you want to call it the bloodlines or those who've managed to buy their way in, on and on and on. So, look at that. Look at that. Is those who want to do appear like the elite and the powerful right now are being shaken. They're being shaken and stirred very heavily by all this that I just mentioned to you. And what is all this that I just mentioned to you? The poking through the fabric that's everything that they've bought their way into, Rockefeller fucking style. And that is the fabric of habit, to where now this novelty is going on. And again, what is novelty? It is various interdimensional timelines that are now coming together, where, as it is said, this is some straight up biblical shit right here. Post-apocalyptic, as it is said, all the world would be covered in spiritual fire, and the kingdom of heaven would begin to start happening on earth. So it is worth listening to what I'm uploading here. Thank you if you can handle some of my Scorpio rising type intensity, and you sat and listened to this whole thing, and you're getting something out of this. So here's another one. Like I said, parallel timelines from those who have been through hell, to be able to retain the information and describe what they can describe. And it's for this very reason that it's important that I talk to you about this, because all this stuff starts to poke through the habit, and in that Rockefeller style, Freemasonic style, pyramid scheme, that you're getting wiped, you're getting windshield wiped. And that's what we're seeing is with that in the zodiac, the moon revealing what's up with Pluto retrograde, and the generational Pluto retrograde as it's been through, as it slipped through Aquarius finally, and then got sent back through the corporate sign of Capricorn, the infrastructure collective sign of Capricorn, things going awry and just blowing the hell up. What I'm talking about is these parallel dimensions that are being manifested here on the earth. So where those who are manifesting it are being harassed. They're either being harassed, being detained, or in some cases, the great unspeakable is happening to them. And I don't even want to say it, because obviously as someone who's gone through hell and is poking through the habit and manifesting another parallel timeline here, is you're basically seeing right here with the fire shaman. I call it the fire shaman. It's not the fire ancestor. It's not just fire, but it's like an interdimensional ancestor. But that's why it's so important. I'm telling you, it is so crucial and important not to just sit there and smoke DMT and do acid. It is important to go through the ordeals and to have a spiritual discipline that you're true to. It's so important, because, and the reason why I can tell you this is part of the good news, and it's part of what you need to hear right now, like more than frickin' ever, is that you need to not just be going into the DMT realms, etc., etc. And it's great that you're free. This is another thing too. Sorry, let me see. It's great that you're free and you have the ability. You're free to do that. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, if you do that, you're a scumbag, etc., etc. If you do that, you're gross. And, I can tell you this as someone who's, and And I'm just, like I said, I close my eyes, and I sort of, that's what I wanted to do, go basically like into the hyperdimensional realm, if I may say, is and lots of times I don't even have to close my eyes, which is like really freaky stuff. That's freaky, terrifying stuff when you don't even have to close your eyes and you're trying to be a full-time waiter, is you're being disrespected and harassed by woke and targeted by woke culture and cancel culture, even though you've actually I kept my politics to myself the whole time. And based on what went on with the woke stuff, I started to become more and more, thankfully I did start to realize what was going on, to where more and more, I became more and more rightful. I wanted to become less and less about transcending the duality and doing the right thing. When you break through the habit and the rat race of the habit, yes, you are experiencing something that comes across is very much, it can become heaven, and it can be overcoming the ordeals of what seems like hell, or is hell, or is just straight up like Clip-Off. And we can talk more about the Clip-Off. I talk about it a lot in Station Mercury. In the Clip-Off is like the back of the tree where chaos is going on, chaos, and just like stuff that absolutely does not feel, it's absolutely not meant for humanity. And a lot of the life forms that are in there manage to survive in there, like basically hate humanity, and are essentially like what we've called throughout our media and our fiction. Our fiction, we've tended to call it horror stuff, cosmic horror. We've called it undead stuff, especially when it creeps through the atomic or the foam through gateways or what have you. It's called the undead stuff lots of times, or just like the horror stuff, horror movies that are like waking nightmare type stuff. Speaking of, wow, there's another synchronization with everything we're just seeing right now in fucking Stranger Things. And I just was talking to you about that in Station Mercury. I've been talking to you about that for years. That's another thing I want to mention before I come back around full circle to what I want to call out full circle, is the parallel timelines that are converging from those who through great ordeals have broken through the habit membrane and the habit prison and the limited not so extrasensory crap perceptions, gross perceptions that are tethered to these things at the back of the tree that are controlling your reality, or the things that are creeping out to the front of the tree that are shadowy, very shadowy and very predatory, and are starting to have to admit that they've been loyal to the hierarchy, demonic grossness at the back of that tree that is not the good patriarchal. Because some people have misunderstood, and what they've done is just say smash to the patriarchy, and that's coming up as just destroy what's good about the middle class. And that's why I've mentioned the white man's burden thing. And like I said, it's not just about white men. So yeah, I called it white man's burden, but it's not just about white men. It can include women and people of rainbow. So, and the reason I called it that though is because at the top of that pyramid is mostly actually, and not just, but like white men, but not just. And that's what you have to realize, is it is not just. So you have to sort of see if you can think outside that box for a little bit, and it's not just. I know you can. Again, my watchers and those who hear me out are freaking the best, most intelligent people there are. So I like to think that. I know that in my heart. My spidey senses know that. So if we might say that. But, so, yeah, what I really wanted to get to then from there is just basically how those who are poking through the habit and those who've been, some might, I don't do this, I don't say the chosen. Some have called them the chosen. Some have called them 144,000. Like basically that's biblical epic shit right there too. So I try to avoid that because honestly that threatens lots of people, and those who are already poking through the habit membranes to bring the novelty, which is more ascended high vibrational dimensions into this world. uh, are being totally being scoped out and targeted, you know, and completely just harassed. So, to say the very least. Now, someone right here. So Chase Albright said something to me, and again, right here on my YouTube, I cannot find it, but it was under Joe Rogan's "The Truth About Psychic Powers." Oh, here it is, right here. Chase Albright said to me, "Then give it to us. You've got our attention. What do you have to say?" Chase, for almost, this has just about been an hour long upload, and it might go a little over, is I've been saying it. I've been saying it right here, right now. This is what Chase said to me, and I can't bring up, there's 43 replies. There's 43 freaking replies, and I can't find my own again. This keeps happening with my YouTube for some reason. So maybe my comment didn't get deleted under the breathing video that I was just talking about like 2 videos back. If you want to watch that one, that was sort of important too. But maybe my comment did just straight up get taken down again. I want to say it didn't. I want to try and say it didn't, you know. I don't like to just assume and be all paranoid. I don't need that right now as it is, because there's so many people who want to, like I was saying, with those who are bringing dimensions that are less limited into this world to help out in this time. They are those who've given into the Rockefeller hierarchy, you might say, and like the Masonic pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme, are like, they're very afraid to have their worlds threatened right now, and they want to feel like the awakening. That's where woke comes from. So if you never received the etymology of woke, they want to feel like the awakening is under their political umbrella and their control. And it is not. So that's the point of all this right here, is because people like at Davos and Klaus Schwab and buddies and pals and friends, that network, they are shitting their pants right now, because they are realizing that they are on a limited timeline. And speaking of limited time, with the January 5th Saturn retrograde, is the whole theme of that is about limited timelines, and time is about to be up. And I had this weird so Chase Albright, you responded to me 6 hours ago saying, you've got our attention. What do you have to say about this whole "The Truth About Psychic Powers" thing on Joe Rogan? So if you looked up Joe Rogan's "The Truth About Psychic Powers," I can't find my comment, sorry, but anyway, moving right along, let's keep this moving. Is when it comes to that pyramid, that hierarchy, is they're realizing it's on such a limited timeline when it comes to the habit before the apocalyptic phase of those who've been shot forth into other realms, the novelty realms of the reality of mind, the reality that is like pure mind, where you feel like you've got no ground, and the only ground is what's in your mind and in your heart. And you start to realize that's the truth about the reality and your cosmic ancestral roots connections or lack thereof. That 3-pronged. So if you want to take some notes, write down that 3-pronged. And that will give you a really good framework too. And because that's the reality. That's the reality that we're going through, is just this stuff starts to flood our reality. And that's why they want total control, because they want to merge you. They want to basically mind meld you and merge you into like neural network stuff, where those neural networks and the nanotechnology is connected to the apps. And through the apps, they can do the very thing they said they wanted to do in Davos, which was track your carbon footprint, easily bring up and access your medical records, and have full absolute control of what you are consuming, where you can and can't go, who you should and shouldn't be gathering with and talking to, not being able to form up as militias, which is why they're like, look, that's what I was saying before, is they basically, our right to form up militias has been completely just pulverized and raped, and they know it. So now they're just saying, look, make things easier on us, make things easier on yourself. A lot of the people we've employed to make sure you don't form up your militias are your cousins and your brothers and your sisters and your aunties and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just make things easier on them and easier on us. Stop kicking and screaming. Give us the AR-15s. Give us the fucking 9mm. This is happening anyway. That's what they're doing. This is happening. Shh, shh, shh. Petting you on your head, combing your hair like this. Shh. This is happening. That's what they're doing right now. So basically, that's Chase Albright. I hope you can come to my page and see. You're sitting there. You're saying to me, "All right, you've got our attention." So if and what I was mentioning is MK Ultra, actually, in the psychic powers thing. I was mentioning MK Ultra and those who've been put through it, those who've been put through a lot of the shadow government branch programming regimes, and what's going on now in the world with those who are like basically like being some form of a resistance and not just succumbing to it all. And they are trying to raise fearless people who will pull shit off like Buffalo, who will pull shit off like Aurora Theater, who will pull shit off like Gabby Giffords in the Head, who will pull shit off like the church, the Korean church. Was it a Korean church in California? I'm sorry. Who will pull shit off like Tulsa, and even though, like I was saying at the beginning of this, I'm gonna cap this off. Put the capstone on this, is they might not be government agents who are doing the shooting, but what's going on is we are in a heavily orchestrated crisis, national lack of identity, lack of national character right now that is being straight raped. And that's going on purpose by those that we should be trusting to run all this and have our backs, is people are just straight snapping. And I don't know if I can bring this up on my screen since I've already gone the full hour. So let me see if I can bring this up on my screen. That would be so cool if I could bring this up. I don't know if it was completely taken down. Give me one moment as I try to bring this up. It might be completely taken down. I'll try one more search term, and then if I can't find it, I'll just find it elsewhere. It's got to be somewhere on the net because it was pretty controversial. It was controversial, and of course I'm not finding it. So I'll have to come back and do another future upload on this. So yeah, okay. I will tell you what it is though. I'll just tell you what it is. It was a billboard. It was a billboard in the Soho district. And this Ghost Hunters A&E billboard, channel A&E. A&E is a channel, in case you don't know, and Ghost Hunters is a TV show on it. You probably do know. Ghost Hunters A&E billboard, it was what's called a sonic billboard. And with the sonic billboard, people would walk in front of it and get within a certain vicinity radius of it. And the billboard would be going... The billboard had a technology attached to it where there were rays that were being aimed through intracranial. It was going, shh, oh, what was that behind you? Shh, who's there? No one's there. Oh, wait, someone is there. Shh, look behind you. What was that? And this billboard is going through these messages over and over, and it's intracranial. In other words, people are not hearing it outside of their ears at all whatsoever. Almost like a schizophrenic episode. It's going on between their ears, between their eyes, right at the core of their head. Now, if that technology exists for a fucking TV show, an entertainment ghost hour, you can sure as hellfire bet your ass that the government knows about this technology. You think the government is... You think people involved with shadow aspects of the shadiest parts of three-letter government agencies and even the non-3-letter government ones that you don't fucking know about, you think they're going to be sitting there like, wow, that billboard was cool. I bet their ratings went through the roof just from that billboard. I wish I could think of stuff like that. Goes back to playing checkers in the white van with the little radar spinning up top down the street. Come on. What do you take us for? You must believe Biden is the best president if you believe that. You must believe Biden is doing a crack-up job if you're willing to believe that. I know I'm being kind of a smartass, but I don't know, what else can you even, bro, do you even? So do you pay attention? So, and yeah, I am dropping hints that is what is going on with a lot of these people snapping and shooting up theaters and politicians and the fabric of the race war. There is a fabric of a race war, and I've talked about this in Station Mercury. My God, I have laid you out a full framework in Station Mercury about how this very thing is going on, to where when they found out I wouldn't do one gross thing they really wanted me to do, that I was groomed to do, they attempted to sweep me up and branch me off into another disturbing thing that has to do with the current race war. And that's why a lot of the woke shit has crashed down upon my head. And I swear to you, I've talked to you about it on Station Mercury, and I have a heavily documented, my personal life, personal experiences, heavily documented, and yeah, Station Mercury is part of that. You know what else is even part of that too? Is I was able to record my mom as she's talking about stuff that I went through as a little kid, and I was finally to get her to start talking about it. And a lot of what I was able to get her to stop talking about is actually it was on an Instagram, which I got rid of because of just the level of the intensity of what I was talking about and a lot of the scrutiny that was coming through that, and it wasn't helping out. It was not helping out in any way, shape, or form. And usually when something stops helping out and it just becomes an area of exploitation, I 86 the project. So Station Mercury is still there. I would say listen to it now before either it disappears or I don't know what. So yeah, and this is not ramblings of a confused person. My God, do I seem confused? And even if you want to say yes, just because I don't agree with your politics, that doesn't sway me and make me feel self-conscious at all. Because I could sit there and toe-to-toe with you and give you good points and documentation of what's going on. And that's what I've been doing right here, right now, not that one. That's what I've been doing here, just completely showing you just what's been going on with compartmentalizations, intentional compartmentalizations of the targets and what goes on when mind control is out of control. You see what I mean? I am a living case of mind control that's gone out of control. And that's what I'm here to tell you today. So, and a lot of it's been at my own detriment. So, not my own ascending, not my own self-exaltation. So, you get me? I know a lot of you who are watching this do. So, you see what's going on here on your screen. When it comes to being able to perceive and bring down, draw down on perceptions that most people are like, okay, some people want to, what's the word, sort of downplay it and be like, okay, so you figured out fractals. And that's why I'm showing this from start to finish. And I can tell you too, is I'm about to wrap this up if I can for now, though, because I'm hungry and I want to eat, and just I'm dealing with some stuff right now, and I've got some projects to get to right now. But basically, so what I wanted to say real quick is what I'm able to show you is also because I want people to see what they might normally just brush off and want to sweep under and be like, oh, well, the simple logic behind that is, here's what's happening that can be explained by the textbook. Textbook explanation for what you're doing right there. And, I can't blame them. Like I've said in some of my other uploads here, is I don't blame you for wanting to do that in order to be able to get along with your mundane 9 to 5 and what frickin' all these institutions, Rockefeller and Rothschild and otherwise, are trying to tell you is the real reality. I don't blame you. Honestly, I don't blame you. I don't want to choke you out and be like, listen to me, I need to red pill you. I need to red pill you. I need to overdose you on red pills. And why won't you listen to me? Why won't they listen to me? Yeah. I'm not flipping out that way. I think if I was flipping out that way, I couldn't have made it this far. So, because I reached the point that I know what I know to what I know to the nth degree, to where even if people don't listen, I'm just like, you know what? The fact that you aren't listening is not stopping me. If you don't listen to me, it's not going to stop me from being able to do stuff like this. And being able to say what I know from my heart. And I've been here able to manifest it in front of you. If you continue to work with this and work with this and work with this, what would happen is you would begin to get uncomfortable. And what's happened is the whole witch hunt phase of what I'm talking about with my harassment and targeting. And the witch hunt phase is where people actually call me like Illuminati or some shit like that. And then they get paranoid to where they're like, you're part of it. You're not breaking through the habit membranes. And one of the timelines of converging ascendants, you are the Archon in human form. You're the shadow. Everybody get him. And you know what's ironic is who's been like, everybody get him. Yeah. It's been the people who I thought I could trust, who were a lot more closer to like hippies and people who were using DMT and acid. That's why I'm saying, and they were burnouts and they got jealous. They were very jealous fucking burnouts. I will call a spade all day long. They were jealous burnouts who hated me. So they said that I was the problem. They said that I was a vampire who was sucking up their innate powers, and they're the enlightened who are here to change the earth, and I'm standing in the way. You see how all this... You see my life now. You are getting just the tip of the iceberg of a lot of what I'm saying. So rather than smoking DMT while you're on acid... I mean, okay, you're free persons. I think free persons should be able to explore you, but you know what I've experienced? And I've talked about this in Station Murky, is a lot of the people who are doing that is their regular go-to for breaking through, are just, they're becoming burnouts, and they're coming back the wrong way when they do come back. They come back the wrong way, and they're like, what do you mean wrong way? Describe wrong way. Because I feel that's a very dualistic modality. And are you the owner of the wrong way? But the thing is, I'm getting hurt. I'm getting hurt as they do with my empathic lifestyle and who I've been since. Where did my crystal logo go? I had a crystal logo that said 10% off, but I will find that later and bring that back up. So I must have accidentally tapped it. But so those who do that, they'll come back and they'll be wiped clean in a way, because they are most programmed when they come back. And they can't retain that information, and they still have what is called amnesia. They have trip lag amnesia. They've literally legged out the way you would leg on an airliner, to where they come back in a fog. You see what I mean? And they come back with a sloppy. They don't ground themselves correctly to where they've retained things, and they can't ground themselves correctly to where they can discuss just what just went through, to where they can figure out how to compress and what parts they can leave, what files they can leave open or even zipped and compressed, but still correctly accessible and able to be accessed. Which is why it was very important, like I brought up before, how the few times I've done DMT, I've retained all of the information in those blast offs and launches, to where I can do the artwork, as you've seen my artwork, and call it, and I don't animate it so much, which I want to start animating it. I tend to do like still frames because of the insane amount of what goes into each painting and each artwork. So much goes into just one frozen still frame, of, like, you might say the peak, and it's not even the peak, because like I was saying, it can be quite horrifying when you can close your eyes and sometimes not even have to close your eyes, but you are in the hyperspatial, hyperbolic, dimensional, extra and interdimensional prerequisites that form up those extrasensory realms and experiences of even being an unhinged realm. And what I mean by unhinged realm is it's made up of the language of mind and the heart coding, which basically those two come together to form the soul. And the soul is the gate, is the language. So, and the language is a very psychic thing. So before you speak things, you are thinking things. Thoughts can become things, and thoughts can become things as much as you're attached to other people outside you who have their own will, and other interdimensional and higher vibrating or lower density owning life forms that are very much part of that hierarchy, who are wanting to run it and run you as a useless eater or a production unit. You see what I mean there? So and I'm not here to sit here and red pill you, because there's even stuff that is outside my realm, obviously. So, but I want to tell you what I can document. I'm here to tell you what I can document, not put together my favorite news articles that go along with all the things I believe. I've put together the things I believe based on my experiences. I can tell you I've spent much of my life avoiding news completely and hating politics completely. So completely, I wouldn't even talk about them throughout almost all my life. If people would talk about politics at all whatsoever, I'd leave the room. And then some people on social media started being like, well, what you're doing right now and what you're talking about sort of involves politics, even though you don't want to confess it and live up to it, and here's how. And I can tell you how. And it's like, even I conceded and was like, wow, you've really, you do have a point. You know? So, yeah. But anything else I was about to mention, I sort of, I feel like I've come full circle enough to where I've talked with you guys about it pretty well here. So I'm going to, now that I've definitely gone over the hour a bit for now. And so that's it. What was your name again? Chase something or other, who answered me under the Joe Rogan Truth About Psychic Powers upload that I was just watching. Yeah, so laying a bit more foundation on top of the foundation that I have already laid. And so, was there, trying to go through my mental Rolodex, was there any more? One little thing is just, you come under a great deal of fire is when you do resist. And the stuff, like I talked about, the AE Ghost Hunters freaking billboard in Soho, New York, and stuff like that, is like I said, people, and even if it's not that specific thing, people are being pushed by what's going on in the world right now, and the lack of national character, in the major crisis crises, domino chain that's going on here in America and throughout the world, is they don't even hide that they want absolute control. And how what it's gonna start looking like is they feel like they're entitled to do it, because they own all the beef factories or some shit like that. They own all the Nestle bottled water or some shit like that. So all the financial and educational institutions, shit like that, is yeah, you come under a great deal of scrutiny, and that's to say the very least. You come under a great deal of heavy duty fire, and as you resist the orders that are given to you right before you're supposed to self-destruct. So yeah, and if you can come back, and if you can show, speaking of the beef, if you can show people the beef, and say, if you've got actual documentation beyond your favorite news stories that you're strumming together, even if it all seems like it's proven and incontrovertible, that's cool. That they're your favorite news stories that you can put together and say, this is incontrovertible. And people will listen to that as an extent, but what people really need to start realizing is going on and listening to is stuff like this. So don't just be smoking DMT and doing LSD. And if you've done that, I can get why a lot of people would want to. Develop the discipline. Develop the practice. Pray. Pray your little hearts out and get stocked up and realize that it's time to be defending your house in newer, more concentrated, focused, highly specialized ways. And meditate. Pray. Meditate. Crystals? Yeah, me and Jess, we sell crystals down by the seashore. Haha. Me and Jessica sell crystals, and she has the most beautiful crystal business that's up. And when you use code Exoverse, it's taken out. Spelunk LLC is our site. That's still there. But if you use code Exoverse, you do get the 10% off. And so crystals are so relevant. I mean, people who are taught to be stupid as possible and we're all dumbed down and fluoridated laugh at crystals. That's almost like a universal. They laugh at crystals like, you use crystals? He uses crystals. Now, the thing about crystals is what most people don't know is they are in all your technology. They are in your laptops. They are in your cell phone that has all the apps that are about to be used to keep track of you. Crystals are heavy-duty memory. Look, have you read some articles about time crystals? Time crystals, synthesized crystals, time crystals. Go ahead, look it up. But not to get too that will take up another whole hour on top of more. But so crystals are legitimate. They are higher vibes than what you might normally do with just prayer meditation. They amplify prayer meditation. They are memory units. They are living. It's a mystery how they are alive, like Nikola Tesla said. You remember Nikola Tesla? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, kid. You remember who Nikola Tesla was? He was the guy that invented the car. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Nikola Tesla was the guy who coded animal, vegetable, mineral. We don't know how crystals are alive, but they are the building blocks of life. So life is consciousness. Crystals are conscious. Crystals have some sort of a being to them, or beings beings that are attracted to their memory and what they can do, what they offer, much the way we as human beings are attracted to vegetables like lettuce and carrots and broccoli and onions and this and that, because we can put them on a plate and we are attracted to what they can do, which is help us live another day and experience more life the next day. So you get that circle of life thing that I'm talking to you about right there. I know you do. I know you're smart. You're one of the smart kids. So, yeah. Don't just do DMT and LSD was the point of this too. I'm sorry, I'm capping it off right now. So thank you for sticking around through this whole thing. Is develop the discipline, pray, have meditation. Even crystals are huge. And if you are using astrology, realize there are many, 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 many pitfalls and deceptions to astrology. And the superficial part of here's what you can do with astrology. Read your horoscope to find out if you're going to be in a good mood tomorrow. That's not what I do. So it goes a bit deeper than that when it comes to me in my practice. So, but there are many, 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 many pitfalls to tarot decks or anything like that. Many, 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 many pitfalls to frickin' almost any, even breathing. DMT, psilocybin even, and mushrooms are super organic. LSD, there are pitfalls to all of it. I've met I've met people who've gone loopy and they were like, I'm a targeted individual too. I can tell you about, I'm a targeted individual too. Blah, 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 blah. I'm also a targeted individual. Look how targeted I am. And it's like, okay, well, sit down, and tell me how you're a targeted individual. Tell me your story. What's happened? Well, the government knows that I've dealt some LSD in the past, and and it's like, okay, well, but like, what? And one of the main ways I test this, I have a bit of a test for this, and I test how they poked holes in the habit membranes in the rat race, the maze work of the habit density and dimension. And as you talk to them very often, they can't display anything that reveals how they've been poking holes other through the habit to where they are manifesting like the kingdom on earth. You know what I mean? They are manifesting holy fire on earth in visible ways. They can't reveal anything. You shall know them by their fruits. And then, like I said elsewhere, the fruit can look really good and genetically modified and based in hormones. The fruit looks juicy. And then you bite into it, and there's no worms. It's even huger and juicier. Yet what you don't know is you're eating hormones. You are eating a great big fistful of fucking hormones and fluoride and shit like that. So you see what I mean? So you shall know you don't even know them by their fruits anymore right now, and that's the dark side has clouded everything. But so I hope you find that entertaining when I do stuff like that. Maybe it helps you not be completely bored with me running my mouth over here. But yeah, so it's not funny though. The dark side has fucking clouded, and people are in a fog and in a brain fog, and they are trip-legging when they do stuff like just DMT is a solution, LSD is a solution, and all that. That's what helps you break through. Developing a practice is what helps you break through. Developing good spiritual footing helps you break through to where you can retain the information when you come back, and you know what to decompress, what should be let go of, what was deceptive during that time when you had, your experiences, that you can come back and journal and not be like, the purple unicorn bit my head off before it carried me to the land of heads growing back again spontaneously. But then I also had extra limbs to where something else really weird happened involving mushrooms, and I sort of forget what it was, but Pat Sajak was there, and so was Vanna White, and I was getting all these puzzles right. Every single puzzle I got right, and I got them right back to back to back. But I forgot to frickin' write any of them down because they were all in these weird different languages, and fucking they were almost like Chinese mixed with like Swedish. They were all speaking Elvish, but at the same time they were speaking Elvish. I could understand them, and one of them said something about Tuesday. Something big is gonna happen frickin' Tuesday. I might get a promotion. You see what I mean? So basically, yeah, develop a discipline and a good spiritual footing, and it's slow going. It is slow going, like almost like Yoda says about the dark side is more seductive and more powerful. And so to finally tie this off, wow, I've gone over almost a full hour and a half, but okay, I am going to tie this off. The very last thing I wanted to say to you all was just simply this, and that's that empathic people and other very spiritual at the core, good heart, spiritual people actually are getting hurt by people like I've experienced and talk about in Station Mercury, who they get into the culty side of it. And remember, before I ended up around the Aleister Crowley Thelemite people, and the Satanists under them, people who very scary, were very proud of being Black Lodge sorcerers, and very proud of, they don't even hide that they've been sucked into the Klipothic, which is, by the way, Klipothic is also called Yuggoth, Trans-Yuggothian. I talk about that in Station Mercury. Fucking listen to Station Mercury. If you're watching this and you're like, okay, I'm getting it, but it still just feels like this is one piece of the puzzle, you need to listen to Station Mercury. There's a lot jam-packed into that. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. When you hear it, I'm not perfect. Some of my own personal preferences, and your own personal preferences can mean your soul in a way, but it also means your ego. I try not to be egotistical in Station Mercury, but yeah, some of that has here and there soaked in there. I can admit that. I'm not the Christ second coming. I'm flawed and I can be fallible. So, but it is jam packed with what I've survived. And the Transugothian, like I was saying, is a lot like H.P. Lovecraft. Cosmic horror is a lot like what you see in Stranger Things. Especially, oh my god, this last frickin' season. Wow. So yeah, it's more like you might say humanoid, and it's a lot like a Black Lodge sorcerer who's like, yeah, I've succumbed to the Black Lodge and the stuff that's behind the Tree of Life, and I talk a lot about that and how it's relevant to what is going on in the zodiac and why astrology is not just, a lot of people mistake astrology as being my religion. But yeah, so finally, what I just want to say, lastly here, is a lot of people who are going the slow route are being hurt. They're being hurt very bad by those who just poke through what they are doing, and their good progress is being just trampled on by those who are coming through without any discipline or ability to know what's going on, ability to know in the unhinged realm where it's all heart and mind and language between the heart and mind connection and the soul, and they just trample it like the Atlanta Psytrance kids trampled it that I mentioned in Station Mercury, and how they were a front for the OTO, which was Aleister Crowley's Freemasonic, basically Black Lodge shit as you go deeper and deeper, right in the same freaking building. And that's what I've survived, and that's what I bring to you that I've talked about. And I already grew up like weird, different, special, as I had people very much on the far left, and I didn't know what the far left even really was. I grew up like thinking they were just a more compassionate party too, like Elon Musk recently said. So that's your final food for thought. And I was one of them, growing up in much of my development through much of my young adulthood. So yeah, develop a spiritual practice. Don't just shoot yourself out of the rocket in DMT. Foundationless. And again, if you do free country, I say that should be freedom of consciousness, and the ability to explore should be part of who we are. Even though, I'm not condoning either, because a lot of that stuff is illegal, and I don't want to get the channel taken away. But as someone who's on the spectrum and has slowly built his way up with a discipline, I would say please bear in mind, if you can, if you're good enough to, if you can find this in you, bear in mind that when you do stuff like that and you come back foundationless and you are like, but I don't know, I felt like I didn't exist and I don't know why I couldn't retain all the information. This is why. And you are actually hurting your fellow people around you who are manifesting the dimensions of ascension very intentionally, already very often hurting themselves to get that done too. Oops, not that one. So if you're good enough to think about that and consider that, it's not just my opinion. Look at this. Does this really seem like it's just my opinion that I'm telling you about here? So again, if like they say with a lot of these things, a lot of these podcasts, they give you news articles and they string together the news articles that they found that they like. Some of them are even journalistic too, to an extent themselves, or they have podcasts where they've opened up forum for the journalistic people who, unless you've double-blind science tested it yourself, you still are taking their word. And then there are the few who will show you this stuff and talk to you about this stuff. So that's what I'm going to talk about for now. And in the next one, kind of what I want to talk about is, to segue off, the next one is probably going to be something more along the lines of, well, why aren't you teaching people how to do this? Don't you, because I've heard this, people have asked me this, don't you feel obligated to just go around and teaching everybody how to do this? So, they can be all superior like you think you are, obviously, and they don't have to smoke DMT since you've got the hang of all this. Don't you feel obligated? I've dealt with that a lot too. And if I could segue into the next one, what I'm going to tell you is a lot along the lines of that movie K-Pax. If you haven't watched the movie K-Pax, you should. And K-Pax said, basically, teaching people how to travel a beam of light, you can blow yourself up very easily, or get someone else blown up, or just teach other people how to blow other people up. I've blown myself up. I'm someone who's blown myself up. I straight up talk about that in Station Mercury, what it's like when you finally accidentally blow yourself up. Who is behind it? who should be behind helping you about it, and the fact that they very well are probably not even going to be there when it's time you need help because you've blown yourself up. So yeah, if you listen to Station Mercury, that might enliven and enlighten your search. So okay, I really am ending this out now. I'm going to go eat and do some stuff here and work on some art projects. Thanks for tuning in. And Chase, I forget your last name, but Chase, if you watch this, I just answered your question the most ultra personal way, positive probably, for like, and transpersonal, interpersonal, for like an hour and a half. So thanks again, everybody. Be careful out there. June 5th, Saturn retrograde. Whatever comes through that gate, hold your ground. Take care. John signing out.